How to treat peripheral neuropathy with diet and supplements. Coming up. Hi everyone, this is Dr. Ernesto from AttaboyCowboy, and this channel we give you health and wealth tips to help you be more successful. Now, peripheral neuropathy is one of the biggest problems I see in patients that have diabetes. It affects about 20 million people a year in the United States, and worldwide it's a huge and growing problem. One of the reasons is that there's an explosion worldwide of diabetes because we're overpopulated and we're making a lot of processed food. So when you eat processed food or you eat fast food, they have a really high sugar and salt content, which helps make you addicted to the food, so you'll buy more. So even if you go to McDonald's or Burger King, you buy a burger, not only is there a lot of salt in there, there's actually a lot of sugar. Because it has an addictive quality to it, it makes you eat more of it and crave it. So that's the idea behind it. Unfortunately, the collateral damage is you're getting a lot more people with diabetes in the world. Now, how do you treat peripheral neuropathy? Let me explain a little bit how it works first. So diabetes, if you've ever known anyone that has diabetes, you've never met anyone that has died from diabetes. No one dies from diabetes. It's not possible. What diabetes does, it's an inflammatory disease. It's a metabolic disorder. It's kind of like a ping pong where you pull the lever back and you launch the little metal ball and it boom, 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 bounces off everything. Or if you're sitting on a stool and someone pulls a leg out, you're bouncing, you fall off the stool. It basically causes system-wide free radical damage. It causes a lot of inflammation. So when you eat something, you eat a burger or you eat some lettuce, anything you eat, steak, your body converts it to glucose. Glucose is what your body uses to make ATP so your body can power itself, you can live. So in that process, as you're building up your glucose levels after you eat a cookie or after you eat, some spinach or something, your body will utilize whatever it needs to keep you living, for your brain to function, for your heart to pump, to regenerate your skin, etc. When you have diabetes, you have a problem with some cells. They're called the Islets of Langerhans. They're in your pancreas. Basically, those cells are kind of like sensors. When your glucose goes up as high as you need it, they start to produce insulin in your body. Insulin is like a Pac-Man. It eats the glucose, keeps the level down. You want it generally around 100 to 140 milligrams per deciliter in your body. That's the normal range. Once you start going beyond that, your body doesn't really need it. So it just keeps circulating your body, causing a lot of inflammation. And it's breaking down, your kidneys, your heart, your blood vessels. That's why people that have diabetes typically die of like kidney failure and end up on dialysis or strokes or heart attacks or blood clots, a lot of different problems because it basically just damages everything in your body. So you want to control that inflammation. Now, some people think, well, I'm just not going to eat sugar, which is really good. You definitely don't want to eat sugar or processed foods if you have diabetes. But the fact is, you could eat lettuce every day, or you could just eat like asparagus or mushrooms. You're still going to have sugar because your body has to convert everything you eat to sugar. Now, it's like a catch-22. You need the sugar to live, but too much sugar will actually kill you. It's kind of like oxygen. Oxygen also causes oxidation. If you look at a piece of metal that's been left outside, it oxidizes and it gets rust on it. The moment you're born is the moment you start dying. Although you're growing towards the end, right? We're all going to die eventually. And that inflammation and that oxidation that happens with every breath you take. So it's a normal process, but you have to control it. And I want to share something interesting. I read recently Tom Brady's book, who just won a Super Bowl at 43 years old. And the diet that he recommends in his TB12 method is basically a diabetic diet, which is excellent. He is totally anti-inflammatory. He doesn't eat sugar, he doesn't eat processed foods, basically the same thing a diabetic should eat. He drinks a lot of water, a half an ounce per pound of body weight, which I always recommend to patients. So I weigh 210 pounds. I should drink 105 ounces, which is approximately 14 cups a day. Now, some patients will tell me, well, hey doc, they say 8 glasses. Well, 8 glasses is an average. Remember, we're all different weights, heights, sizes. So you have to drink water accordingly. And if you look at Tom Brady, that's one of the reasons why his skin looks so good and looks so young, because he eats an anti-inflammatory diet and he drinks a lot of water. Some of the natural ways of controlling blood sugar: if you have high blood sugar, you have diabetes, obviously you should take your medications, but you can actually control it naturally by drinking a lot of water, exercising, or eating foods that have a low glycemic index, foods that aren't converted quickly to sugar. Like if you eat a cookie, it's gonna get converted quickly because it's processed sugar. But if you eat some lettuce or some asparagus or some greens or something, that has a lot more fiber in it. So that fiber takes time to digest and for your body to unlock it and take the glucose out it needs for you to live. So that process is good. It slows down. That's why they're called low glycemic foods. It releases slowly the sugar into your body, so you actually can just use whatever you need and then kick out the rest. So drinking a lot of water, eating anti-inflammatory foods, the best thing. Now, in terms of peripheral neuropathy reminds me of my electrical class I'm taking right now. I'm going to explain how it works exactly. This is a piece of Romex wire. So if you think about how we move, if I want to snap my fingers, I think about it. And then the signal gets sent through my nerves, tip of my fingers. And depending on what action I do, I either do this, I do this, or I do this, right? I could do all sorts of stuff. Think about your body as it's full of lots of electrical wires, cables. They run right next to each other. So those electrical impulses have to go exactly where you want them for you to do exactly what you want, okay? If it disperses, then you have trembling, you have shaking, you have all sorts of other neurological problems. In the case of peripheral neuropathy, people feel tingling, they feel ants, they feel stabbing pain, they have instability in their hands or their legs. I'm going to focus more on the legs, but it's pretty much the same thing. So you want to make sure that that signal is getting from A to B without interruption. In the case of this Romex, I wire something, and let's say I flip the switch. I want the signal to run through here and go to the refrigerator or the computer or whatever and turn it on. As you can see here, there's copper wire in the middle. This is the ground wire. It's just bare copper. And then you have the other wires here that are wrapped in like plastic. And then there's another one outside. This is insulation. So this is so that the signals, the electricity doesn't discharge to the wires running next to it. Think about all these being wrapped inside of here. So think about all these wires being tightly packed in here. See that? Look how tight they are. If they don't have a barrier between them, that electrical charge is going to discharge between them, and you're not going to get exactly what you want. You're going to get a short in your house, or you're going to get a fire. So to control that, all the wires are wrapped individually. The ground wires here as kind of a safety. In case these have a cut or the electricity gets out, it can just go to this one, and this is kind of like a gutter. It'll take it out so that you don't have a fire or anything like that. That's why you have what's called a ground wire. It's for safety. Now, unfortunately, in your body, you don't have a ground wire. All of your neurons are kind of like this. They're all wrapped in what's called myelin sheath. And the myelin sheath helps prevent discharges. Okay, so now in terms of electricity, if I want to prevent a discharge, I can get some electrical tape. And I can just wrap the copper wire, and that'll prevent there from being a discharge onto the other wires. So that creates safety. Now in your body, when you have peripheral neuropathy, you can't go in there and wrap the nerves. The metabolic disorder or the diabetes you have has caused so much free radical damage. It's actually stripped the myelin which is like this insulation here off your nerves. So your nerves are like bare wires, like this one right here. And that's why you're having the pain and the loss of strength and mobility that you're experiencing. So you want to try to wrap this up inside of your body. So first thing you want to do with your diet, again, is control inflammation. Eat foods that are high in fiber. 97% of Americans do not eat enough fiber in their day. High fiber foods, oatmeal, buckwheat, barley, fruits, vegetables, unprocessed, just raw whole foods they call them, like the market. It's whole foods because they haven't been made into anything else at laboratories. Just regular food that you cut up yourself and make into soup or whatever you want to make. Now, you want to avoid processed foods. Not only sugary foods, which of course are the worst, but you don't want to eat pastas, you don't want to eat white rice, you don't want to eat breads, white flour tortillas, breakfast cereals, pretty much most foods from cans and frozen, stuff like that. You don't want to eat any of that stuff because it's going to cause a lot of inflammation. It's going to cause your glucose to spike. It's going to cause more damage to your nerves and to the myelin sheaths. Your peripheral neuropathy can actually get worse. So the key to peripheral neuropathy is stopping in its tracks. Whatever diet you eat, remember, food is medicine. You need to change it. If you have peripheral neuropathy, something's not going right. And medications are going to help to a certain extent, but be honest with you, 90% of it has to come from your diet. You have to change it. You have to eat an anti-inflammatory diet. And I want you to think about Tom Brady. Since he's been so successful, he's already won, I don't even know, 6-7 Super Bowls, and he looks like he's 25 years old because he eats an anti-inflammatory diet. Okay, so some of the things you want to avoid along with that is also foods that are high in metals, like meats, all types of animal meats, predominantly like seafood. Think about this electrical wire again. If I get a metal knife and I stick it in a socket or I touch this wire, I'm going to electrocute myself. It's going to hurt. Okay, I can have a heart attack, it can kill me, it can do a lot of stuff. So I'm obviously never going to do that. Otherwise I probably wouldn't be here talking to you. So you don't want to do the same thing in your body. Don't eat foods that are high in heavy metals. A lot of times folks think that like brown rice is healthy. It really isn't. It's really high in arsenic. It's just the way the plant is. The roots grow really deep and it's like a vacuum cleaner. They absorb a lot of arsenic. And I believe arsenic has something like 6 to 8 times the allowable amounts of arsenic you should have in your diet. That's not going to be good for people with peripheral neuropathy. Fish, all types of seafood, too high in mercury and all sorts of other heavy metals that are not good for you. If you add more of that toxic metal to your body, it's just like sticking this knife in a socket. You're gonna get electrocuted. So don't eat that stuff. Beef, chicken, pork, pretty much all of it. I mean, if you need to eat meats, reduce it down to 3 meals a week. That's it, max. The rest of your food has to be anti-inflammatory food. If you look at even Tom Brady's diet, he eats a predominantly plant-based diet and he eats grass-fed beef with it. So, you can use him as a model, but generally just eat a lot of whole foods. Now let me go over my 8 supplement recommendations for peripheral neuropathy. First off, let me just say that, remember, there's a lot of people in the world, 7.5 billion people, and the earth is only made for 1 billion. So most of our farmland is what they call over-farmed, and it's deficient in minerals and vitamins. So we have to add things in. I have family in Iowa that are farmers and in Mexico. They add like potassium, they add phosphorus, they add, it's called CPK, they add to the soil so the plants could grow because there aren't a lot of minerals left in the soil. Now, it doesn't matter if you eat organic or you eat vegetables all day or whatever, that's obviously way better. But you also need the supplement. I know a lot of folks online will say, hey, you don't need supplements. I totally disagree. In my 20 years of practice, I've seen a lot of results recommending patients take supplements, and I take them myself. I have a day and a night routine. But let me give you the basics for peripheral neuropathy. First off, you want to take a B complex. A lot of issues related to peripheral neuropathy are related to B12 and B6. Now you can get those from fortified grains or eating, again, meats like fish, chicken, beef, stuff like that. But like I said, I don't recommend that because then you get the heavy metals. So I recommend just taking a supplement along with your meals, and you can eat some fortified grains. If you eat um, some Ezekiel bread or something like that, it might have some fortified grains in it. But just to be safe, if you have peripheral neuropathy, take a B complex. It's going to have everything: niacin, thiamine, riboflavin, everything you need. Second supplement I recommend is beef gelatin. I like beef gelatin because gelatin has been shown to help repair damaged neurological systems. So this is used like for cartilage and for collagen and for things that like myelin sheath. So this is kind of like one of the building blocks. So I recommend taking a couple scoops of this a day, every day with your meals. And this is good for helping you rebuild, again, that myelin sheath, that insulation on the nerves. Recommendation number 3, take a multivitamin. Like I said, even if you're eating a healthy diet, you might be deficient in something. Whatever you don't need, your body just urinates it out. No harm, no foul. So a multivitamin is not going to hurt you unless you have some specific metabolic problem where your doctor tells you not to take it. It's a good thing to take. Now, vitamin D. Vitamin D is being shown more and more to be kind of like a miracle supplement. It's not exactly a vitamin. It's a master hormone. So being deficient in vitamin D impacts a lot of different systems in your body. And not getting at least 30 minutes a day of sunlight is like smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. It's very bad for your health. I'm doing a lot of research right now for a cancer book. There's tons of studies on vitamin D. So vitamin D is good for rebuilding that myelin sheath and also with controlling the pain related to neuropathy. The next one is omega fatty acids. Now, a lot of folks like fish supplements. I don't recommend fish supplements, again, because the oceans are really toxic, a lot of heavy metals. Take something plant-based like flaxseed oil. I recommend getting the seed. The seed's actually better, and grind it up in your shakes. Chia seeds, get the seeds and grind it. Add it to your desserts, stuff like that. So get your omega fatty acids. Fatty acids are used to rebuild that myelin sheath. And let me give you an analogy. Let's say you want to get bigger muscles. You're going to take a protein shake, or you're going to eat protein because you want to build muscle. It's the building block of muscle. But if you've ever seen a brain on an animal or a cadaver, it's like gelatin. It's not made of protein. It does have protein in it, but it thrives off fat. It needs fat. So if you want to rebuild myelin, rebuild your brain because you want to have better memory, better mental acuity, you need fats. And omega fatty acids are really good for that. So I recommend these. Another way to get them is also through nuts, like walnuts. Get unsalted nuts, get a mix, and get raw nuts. Don't get roasted, because roasted obviously is going to damage all the oil in them. So, and it's a good way, like if you've had problems with weight loss, where sometimes I get patients where they've lost a lot of weight because they had their diabetes uncontrolled. That makes you lose a lot of weight oftentimes. So they need to build their weight up. Instead of drinking Ensure or some of those other processed drinks they give you in the hospitals, they actually are not very good. They're made out of a bunch of chemicals that are really toxic for your body. Just add nuts to your diet. Get some peanut butter, get some almond butter, just put it on something in all your meals. Put it on your fruit, on your toast. A couple tablespoons of almond butter. Peanut butter is like 200 to 300 calories. That's a lot. That's the same as like a weight gainer shake. So I recommend adding that to your food, adding olive oil, adding coconut oil. That way you're getting more fat for your nerves and your nerve repair, but you're also getting calories if you need to build up your weight. Most times people that are diabetic gain weight after they start taking insulin, because insulin starts chomping all that glucose and absorbing it. So it's actually making you take it out of your system so that it's not causing the inflammation, but it also causes you to blow up. So go figure. It's it's the lesser of two evils, right? It's better to have a little more weight than to have the inflammation. Now, in terms of the veggies you eat a lot of dark green foods. These are high in zinc. Zinc is very good for rebuilding the myelin sheath on nerves. It's going to help out a lot. Now, you can get zinc from oysters, mushrooms, a few other things, spinach, but I like dark leafy greens. An interesting thing about these is, they talk about eating the rainbow every day, right? You want all different colors, which you definitely want to try to do. But I want to give you an analogy about something I learned in physics. There's something called Roy G. Biv, white light. So white light, when it gets subdivided, actually becomes a rainbow. That's why when you go out after a rainy day, you see all the rainbows. That's because white light's coming down. It hits the water that's stored in the clouds or the moisture in the air, and it breaks up and reflects. That refraction causes the white light to disperse into its different colors, which are Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, and violet. So when those colors are combined, you get white. Well, dark green vegetables are actually a combination of all these different colors. So even though you still want to try to eat the rainbow every day, red, orange, yellow, green, etc., you want to eat dark green because most of the colors are in here. And think about this. If you've ever seen some of these plants mature, they are red, orange, or yellow in different stages. If you think about bell peppers, they're red, yellow, and then they turn green. Or I think they start green, and as they mature, they actually change. It's actually the same type. When you go to the market and you see them, some people think they're different types of bell peppers. They're not. It's the same bell pepper. They're just different ages, and they change color depending on the age. So a lot of those colors are actually contained in here. This is a really good mix I like to eat. I eat it almost every day. It has kale, it has spinach, and it has chard. So I get a full spectrum of different greens with lots of different minerals, high zinc content. Zinc is great for erectile dysfunction. It's great for a lot of things. But it's especially good for nerves. The next supplement I like is turmeric. Turmeric is just like awesome. It's good for all kinds of stuff. My sisters put it in my mom's coffee every day. They put it in her tea. It's a really, really strong anti-inflammatory. And when it comes to peripheral neuropathy, as we mentioned earlier, you want to eat an anti-inflammatory diet. And most people that have peripheral neuropathy have diabetes, which is an inflammatory disease. So if you have diabetes, it's a no-brainer. You should take this every day. Mix it in something you eat or something you drink. It's going to help prevent a lot of that free radical damage that's happening from the diabetes. So this is a good way to lower the inflammation and control the diabetes, but also stop further damage to your nerves. This is kind of like putting up a force field every day to protect your myelin sheath from further damage from the free radicals. Just check one more thing. Alpha lipoic acid and acetyl L-carnitine. And the last two supplements I recommend are found in meats, L-carnitine and alpha lipoic acid. But again, I don't recommend eating a lot of meat or any at all if you can avoid it. So I recommend buying a supplement. You don't want to eat a great big old steak just to get this small benefit. It's just not worth it. All the rest of the damage it'll do to your body will outweigh the good that you're going to get from the L-carnitine and the alpha lipoic acid. So I recommend buying a supplement. Just follow the directions and take alpha lipoic acid and L-carnitine every day as part of your treatment for your peripheral neuropathy protocol. So I'm going to go over some treatment strategies I also use to treat patients with it, but I wanted to go over the fundamentals of some of the diet and the things you should eat. I hope this helps, and if you have any questions, please comment below. I'm very happy to help. This is my passion. I love helping people, and I just want to share whatever I can to help people treat some of their symptoms. So from Los Angeles, California, this is Dr. Ernesto. Thank you for listening. Bye.